Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday, February 1. I'm so excited because I'm here with my new backslash old, possibly old friend, many lives friend, Sarah up in
Yes.
Canada. How are
Hi
you?
everyone, how are you doing?
We were just talking about dogs. We're going to do a monthly reading, obviously, because Sarah's a very talented tea leaf reader. If you guys missed the last episode we did together, I will put that down in the description box below so you can check out the last episode we did together where Sarah really introduced herself and her talent. But how are you doing today, Sarah?
Good. It's been a bit of a busy day. I was outside. Bryce knows we're outside with our chocolate lab named Brie in the snowbank throwing
Yeah.
snowballs. So it's been a good day aside from that, and replying to the lovely people who are friends, some of which have now emailed me for readings.
That's
So
so exciting.
it's so neat. So if I've not gotten back in touch with you, maybe check your junk folder and just see if it's in there. But I'm working very hard, and Bryce has been helping me with everything in the background. So it's amazing, and everyone has been so kind. Like when you say in your videos that you have the best, nicest people on your channel, it is completely true. Like I always believed it, but now that I'm interacting with our friends and on the receiving, like it's just amazing. Everyone truly is genuinely amazing,
Oh,
so
yeah.
kind and real too. They're real.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And that's what I love about this corner of the internet. If you, because I watch a lot of YouTube videos of other corners, I take mental breaks where I'll watch the drama channels, just for shits and giggles or something, and they're always competing with each other, the content creators. But our channel of our corner of the internet over here, we have the same. It's a community of people. Like we all have the same subscribers. We all have the same. We get
Yep.
to know each other. And that's why we put ourselves on YouTube, not to necessarily create is more of like a battle cry, right? Like like
Exactly.
we're in anyway. So I know we were talking about. We were talking about dogs when we first signed on because your little girl's still quite young, and labs they're a
Mhm.
handful, aren't they?
They are. We had dogs before, but we had like we always got rescue dogs, and with this one, we just sort of ended up meeting her within 22 hours. But of getting her when she was like 2 days shy of 9 weeks old, and she's a sweetheart. But we've never had a lab before, and we live in a condo, so we're taking her out all the time, and she's just very high energy. She's very sweet, but she's stubborn, and she has a mind of her own. So.
I was telling you, my sister has a black lab, Mo, who is elderly now. He's an elderly old man now. But when my sister, after university, her and her then boyfriend, now her husband, they moved out to Colorado for a couple of years just to like have fun, work, little jobs at the resort and snowboard and ski. Her husband, now husband Steven's family had a place out in Telluride, so they were like, we're just gonna. But they lived in a little apartment, and Steven, her boyfriend, then now husband, had his own. He had Blue, a yellow lab, who's since passed away, and Mo, and my sister. I mean, these labs they just go, and they will jump in the
Mhm.
coldest water and they will
Oh yeah.
retrieve anything. That's what they are trained to do. So back when my sister lived in, I don't know if I've told the story on my channel before, but I would love to hear if anybody watching had a similar story. So back in the USA, and in this time when my sister, this was years ago, Colorado, the state Colorado, had made marijuana semi-legal at this point. You could go to a distillery and get, if you had a card, and my brother-in-law, then her boyfriend, had a card, and so he would go to the distillery and Telluride and get stuff, and he had gotten like a cheesecake. He would get a lot of food
No.
items as well. Well, my
No.
sister and her boyfriend had gone out for the night, and
Oh
they
no.
came back and the whole cheesecake was gone, and it was my sister's dog Mo who had gotten the cheesecake. And
Oh
our
no.
dad is a veterinarian, but I don't think my sister wanted to call our dad, so she called the local vet in Colorado, and she was freaking out, like, is my dog gonna die, like what's going. And the vet started laughing hysterically. He was like, this happens all the time. He was like, your dog's just gonna have to ride out the high, like basically. And my sister said Mo, her dog, his front two paws, he was walking like this, like.
Poor little guy. He just had too much fun.
She said he was high for like 3 days. Like,
Just for 3 days.
and
Oh
and
no.
she would say that I was saying the other day, they would go when they would go they traveled around following fish in widespread panic. This was before marriage, before kids, all that kind of stuff. And so whenever they would go to different towns to, travel for a weekend to go see the fish or widespread panic, their neighbor would watch their dogs. And their neighbor was a long cross country runner, would run the Rockies like crazy. And their dogs loved it because they got to go run with him. My sister and her husband are not. Well, actually, my brother-in-law now is a marathon runner, but then he was not. He was a pothead. Like he was not, running. He was snowboarding. Now he's a marathon runner. But every time they would pick the dogs up from their neighbor, though, my sister was like, they were so sore. The dogs would be like so sore for
just like I can't move. Like, well, she's being pretty quiet right now, but she was in her snowbank. But I'm like, this afternoon, well, I need to go back to the beach or somewhere. I mean, there's like about 10 inches of snow here. I would say almost that now. So she's happy, but I can only imagine those dogs must have been so sore because they had a good time.
They had a good time.
And they don't realize how tired they are. That's the thing. They don't. They will literally go in slowly.
Your lab's still young. I mean, my boy, Ravi, who is a rescue from India, he's about 6 years old now. And he's still, when he was a puppy, when he first was rescued, we would laugh because it was like having a toddler because he was so hyperactive, especially being a street dog. We would have to take him on like these 5-mile loops in order to just get an hour's worth of peace when we got home.
Yeah.
And he'd be hyper again. And my boyfriend would laugh and be like, I wouldn't be there. And he'd have to take a shower. And when you have like parents can probably, when you have like a small child and you're in the shower, you're constantly worried. My boyfriend would be like, you'd be like in the shower, you have to sneak out of the shower just to check to make sure like the dog had not gotten into the recycling or gotten into the trash or, he was just, he dug a hole. In my boyfriend's place in Decatur, which is a part of Atlanta, he dug a hole through the wall in the bathroom, like literally dug a hole through it. Because we couldn't keep him in a crate. He would we tried so many different crates. He would watch my boyfriend do the carabiner or do whatever, and he would watch it and then he would undo it and get out. Because he's a street dog. He's a street dog, so they're smart. And so we would have to put him in the bathroom because he couldn't get out of the bathroom. And so he dug a hole.
So he decided to dig his way out, dig a hole in the wall.
Yeah, he dug a hole. So yeah, so for anybody who's dealing with puppies right now,
we totally get you.
You're not alone.
No, it will improve. Things
will improve. Pass. Yes.
Just patience and breathe, and
it will pass. They're like children, so
it's a long-term commitment. They do settle down. Bree has settled down since she was just a little baby, but we have literally spoken with people out walking around with Bree since we first started taking her out for walks and adventures around here because we do live very near to the Lake Huron. So there's a lot of beaches and things we can take her to off season. And literally everyone who has had a lab or at least a chocolate lab have always said the same thing. They calm down. Oh, they calm down. We have heard ages 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, 16. And I'm like, okay.
I think 5 is because we think Ravi now is 6. We think he's 6. Okay. And it was around the age of 5 that he got real calm. I mean, we still exercise him a lot. We still have to, but he started to really calm down more. I actually think when Ravi is an old man, he's going to be an ornery old man. He's going to be like the old grumpy dog. That's like,
just leave me alone. Give me a toy. Give me a treat. I'm gonna have a nap.
We always say because Beta in Canada, where he's from, he's from the state of Mysore, so Karnataka, and there's like so many different languages in India, but Kannada is the language they speak for Karnataka, and Beta is that's no, and they do their hand, and where I was like, Ravi's gonna be like Beta, like to all that Beta to the young ones. Beta.
Just leave me alone. No.
Yeah. So he's so funny. All right, you guys. Well, just in case, I am going to go ahead before we get into the subject matter at hand. I'm going to go ahead and share once again Sarah's channel. Go ahead and subscribe because out of all of the truth there, Sarah, I think you're the only tea leaf reader.
I think you're right. You had mentioned that, and I think you're right. I don't know of anyone else in the truther community that is doing tea leaf reading. to be honest.
Oh, and it's so fascinating. Once again, if you missed the first episode I did with Sarah, I will put that down in the description box so you can rewatch it, where she talks more about how she got into leaf reading, all that kind of stuff. We also have, you can click here for her website. I already have it pulled up, but here is her website. I know that she's working behind the scenes to be more figure out how to work with those of us who are not Canadians, and I it's amazing because it's so. I mean, they're trying hard, and you guys can see how much research I've been doing with all my tabs pulled up. But book, if you, I mean, I was blown away by your ability to read the tea leaves, because I mean, you text me afterwards, do you want a picture? And I'm like thinking, honestly, I don't even know what. I have no idea what that says. So what we're gonna do, guys, I think every month in the to the foreseeable future. Hopefully, it won't be that long of a future, because hopefully, before too long, we'll all be living in a new timeline. But for the perceivable future, we're gonna have Sarah come on and talk about each month and what spirit wants to tell us to expect in the upcoming month at hand.
Exactly.
So,
This is for our friends who are watching.
yes. Yes. So should we get started? I don't know. Well, and I want to say though, I know we talked about this last time. I do have a disclaimer in the front of my videos, but
Yeah.
please know this is entertainment purposes only, you guys. Like we take what resonates. I see this a lot with the books I read from channelers, and I know this from myself. Like, as a human being, we are always dealing with our own perceptions of reality. And so for channelers, they're giving you messages from how they perceive it through their own lens. So take what resonates, with any divinator. I think you can speak for that. If any just take what resonates.
Take what when you will and leave what you don't. I have that disclaimer on my website, on the about section of my video, in the description of each video, and an audio version of me speaking where I'm saying a disclaimer at the beginning of every video. I'm covering myself in every which way angle. It's really is take what you will and leave what you don't. I'm not going to tell you, I'm a Leo, yes, but I'm not going to tell you what to do in readings. I'm not into that. Make your own decision. I've had people over the years ask me, should I leave my significant other? I'm like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. That's not the point of a reading. It really is take what you will and leave what you don't. I would say just keep open mind whenever you have a reading, and just say, okay, this is what is coming through right now. Time and events, as we know, can change. So just at this moment in time, when I say whatever's coming through the leaves at this moment in time is accurate, but things can change. And this is just the timeline. This is just one series of events that I'm seeing right now. It doesn't mean that it's set in stone. Doesn't mean that I'm 100% right. I do not claim to be 100% right. The only 100% all the time is source, creator, God, universe, source, mother and father, whatever you want to call it. So I'm literally just a messenger, just saying whatever I'm saying. So definitely entertainment purposes only. Make up your own mind about everything and use your own sound, discernment, and judgment for everything. And I think it's a very healthy thing to do anyway, whenever it comes to anything, but also readings especially. We're not going to tell, I never tell people what to do. I'm like, in some cases, in some readings, I'm going to say, if it comes through, I'm telling you what to do, but I'm not telling you what to do. It's coming through so strongly that here's what you should do, but I'm going to say that, but do what you want to do.
Yeah, and I also think divination too, it's like a forecast. Like the universe is giving you a forecast. And so you take the information and you work the information that's going to be the best for you as well. You know,
Absolutely.
it's like the meteorologist saying, grab an umbrella today because it's going to be raining, or there's going to be rain today. So now you have the choice whether you like being wet in the rain or whether you want to grab an umbrella.
Right. Or maybe the forecast will be different. Maybe if you check a different forecast, it'll say something different and it won't rain, or whatever the case may be. It really is a take what you will and leave what you don't. I'm not going to tell you what to do. This is just giving us a peek into what is coming up, knowing that things can change. And sometimes, who's to say, sometimes information may come through that is not accurate, because that's what we're not supposed to hear, the accurate. We're supposed to hear whatever is coming through. I'm not saying it's not accurate. Just saying that I'm just saying whatever I'm seeing, and it's whatever God wants us to know at the time. And sometimes God doesn't want to tell us, and that's why, surprises. Like I was telling you, because sometimes, like in the past, if I see, this is again just how I do my tea leaf readings. If I see a grouping of tea leaves that are very, very tight, I'll say, oh, we're getting a surprise. Because in the past, when I've said to clients, oh, we're not supposed to know. I want to know. And they get kind of like, oh, but I want to know. I'm like, well, okay, swap not supposed to know with the word surprise. And they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, it's two ways of saying exactly the same thing. It's just we're not supposed to know whatever this is right now. And there's something really good on the way that we're not supposed to know. And I will say as much as I can see that's happening with that grouping.
And the universe is always conspiring for your best interest. And so
Yeah.
if there's something that spirit doesn't, we're just going to do a general reading for the month of February.
Yep.
So if there's something spirits like they can't know this right now, we have to trust that it's okay. Listen, if
Mhm.
spirit had told me back 10 years ago that my ass would be sitting up on YouTube doing shows, I would have been like, no, I would have been like, no, I'm a Ashtanga teacher. Like I'm doing. So there's some things that we have to. I know you got that with my reading that there was some surprises. Like there's some stuff that spirit
Mhm.
just can't tell you right now because you're not in a place to understand it, the
Yeah.
trajectory, right? So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. One time I did a reading for myself, and this was even several years ago. And I prepared the cup. I did everything as I normally do. And I looked in the cup, and all the leaves were on the bottom. There was like nothing on the sides at all. It was completely clear. And all the leaves stayed in the bottom, and all the water had come out, but all the leaves were covering the base, and it was like a thick layer. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not supposed to know. There's something coming that I'm not supposed to know. It doesn't mean it's bad. I only do the good stuff is what I say. And people say, tell me the good, tell me the bad. I'm like, well, define bad. But
it's
anyway.
all well, I want to let me just pause on that for a second because I just feel the need. I was having a conversation with our friend Emmy today, and I've been very honest. My birthday is coming up on Saturday, and I have a really hard time with birthdays. I've always really struggled. It started at age 27. I just really struggle, and I don't know why. I mean, I think I know why, but I'm not someone that's ever going to lie about my age. I think that's stupid. I always, I'll tell you, I'm coming up on 40, like. And I
Okay.
was talking through it with Emmy, and I was like talking through like when I started being triggered by like what was, and I had some breakthroughs of thought. But I was this morning, I was in my practice, I was like thinking about the last 10 years of my life, about everything that you accomplished. And I think Sarah, you're probably a lot like me in this way, because we're the same age and we were born the same
Fascinating.
year.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people that are in this timeline, we didn't take the path that we were supposed, the traditional path, right?
No.
And that was
No.
not our mission. That was not our mission to take that because we had something, we came down here for a purpose, for a reason. But I was sitting there and I was trying to go through my head, like, because I feel that pressure, because I do possibly want to have a baby at some point, but I'm getting, you have all these things in your head. And I was thinking about the last 10 years, from 30 to 40, everything that has happened to me in my life, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I got kind of a little bit cracked up with the idea that perceived things happen to us that we think are bad, but they end up being really good. And that's sometimes why God won't say, or spirit won't say anything right away, because they don't want, like, I worked my ass off. I broken bones, bloodied nose, bruising, jet lag, belly belly, soreness up at the crap and I became the only female authorized in the state of Georgia to teach us, and it through sweat, blood, grit, and it took so much to do that, and just the traveling, and just that's why I don't have a child. It's like, and then I was working at AYA, and then Todd basically was like, you can't teach here anymore because you're authorized. You need to go start your own program. You need to be the headmaster of your own program. So I opened up a program in the suburbs. So I would drive every morning from Midtown, where I live in Atlanta, all the way up to the suburbs and run a program. And my program was growing. I mean, it was growing, it was growing, it was growing. I was the only traditional yoga program in that area. And I had so many students. And then what happened? Lockdown.
Yeah.
And the studio I had started my shala in was brand new. So it couldn't
Yeah.
sustain. And so it
Anymore.
shut down.
Yes.
And the funny thing is right before it shut down, I had been thinking about opening up a YouTube channel just for fun. I was just going to do like stories that I find interesting, just for fun. And when my program shut down, it was like everything I had worked for so learning Sanskrit. I have 3 Sanskrit teachers in India, and they scare me more than anyone. Like, Indian professors are scary. Like, they're so strict and they're so scary. And I learned Sanskrit. And I was, all of a sudden, it was gone. It was just gone. But what was happening is something else was happening. I
Yes.
was opening up a YouTube platform, and now, at first when I was on YouTube, I didn't speak about yoga. I never, but then it evolved into the spiritual talk and all. And so all of a sudden now, this authorization is taking on a new life of its own in a different way. I'm doing these I'm using my education to do the shadow work challenges. So I wanted to use an example for you guys. Like, I get what Sarah's saying. What we perceive in the moment as bad is always working in our favor.
Absolutely.
You know?
I can give a very small example from many years ago. At the time, I went to a college in a local college from where we were living, and I ended up taking. I wanted to run a B&B, so that was in my head. So I decided I'm going to go into business and take a business course. So anyway, I ended up taking business administration, marketing co-op. Very long phrase, but anyway, did that, and I got into marketing. I did office jobs for many years, and in 2000, and I think it's 2009. It's 2009. That's when the manufacturing sector crashed in the U.S. and that's when everything was happening there. And where I was working, the company served that sector, and I knew it was on the way. I knew my job was coming to an end there at that time, and no hard feelings. That was just the way that it was happening for me and many other people. And so it happened. I was laid off. It was all amicable, whatever. And at that time, there was a spiritual retreat pilgrimage tour that I wanted to go on in the UK, and I could not do it because I didn't have my vacation days. Well, guess what? I was laid off. And then one spot opened up, and I messaged the lady, and she said, "Yep, you're in." So, I mean, I ended up getting food poisoning or something before, so I was delayed by going over by a few days. But I got to go on this one tour that I really genuinely wanted to go on. It was very enlightening. It's all spiritual, it's like Celtic spirituality. It's one of my favorite things is Celtic spirituality. So I got to go, but because I had been laid off, I had the ability and the time and the finances too
to do it.
Yeah. So that was just a very small example, and that was years ago. But things like that happen, I think, daily.
Yeah, and sometimes we get so caught up in the drama of what we perceive as bad, to not realize that there's something bigger happening. There's something bigger happening. And I was telling Emmy, like, you're now on YouTube as well. How cool is it that you get to share your experience with so many people? Yes. You know, you get to share that with so many people now for free. You know, that's how I feel blessed, that I get to share so much about what I've had the privilege of being able to go to India so many times and acquire this information. And it's almost like God saying, well, what's the good in having this information if it's not in a place where it can really be shared?
Exactly. You know? I had been thinking of I contemplated having a YouTube channel for many years, but I just didn't. It didn't feel right. I wanted to, but I didn't. There was some friction around it. And then, like I said, last year, after 2 odd years of everything happening, I'm like, okay, God, let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Obviously, this is the time, you know? Yeah. And so I'm so glad we paused on that for a minute, you guys, because I really want people. I know my friend Shanti at Aquarius Rising Africa calls it the drama of it all. It's the drama, you know? I posted something in the Signal group this morning because Marnie Alton had released something, and she always has great words to say. And she talks about that, like, everything's always happening for you. The chaos, everything. You know, it's happening in your favor. It's happening for you. You know, if you just allow it. Well, with that being said, if you're being abused, or that you need to like move away. We're not talking about that. I don't want anybody to like but like when things happen that are out of your control. You know, like with the lockdown, it was out of our. No one we had never been in this situation before, ever, as a globe.
No,
because it was happening. There was nowhere to run. In the past, if one country was going tyrannical, you could just immigrate to another country. Yep. We can't do that now because all of the countries are in this situation, and so it forced a lot of us what was perceived as being something really bad because businesses were being lost, all sorts of stuff, but. That's the friction, right? That's the beautiful friction. I always use that example. And this is something I taught even before YouTube. We have a match. Yes. A match has everything on it needs to light, but it can't do anything until it's struck up against the matchbook.
And not to interrupt, but that's very similar to an image that I often will see, or I shouldn't say often, but it shows up whenever it needs to in tea leaf reading, is as a keyhole. Sometimes I'll see a key, but sometimes I'll see a keyhole. And I'll say exactly that. You have everything that the situation looks like it's going well. You have everything that you need in order to do it. You just need to put the key in and turn the lock. That's all you have to do in that situation. You need to strike the match. You just need to put the key into the lock to open the door. You just have to take that action if you feel it's the right thing to do at that time, and it's for the greatest good of everyone involved, and you're safe and everything else, of course. But sometimes you just have to take that one action.
And isn't that the human condition, though? Like humans, and I'm guilty of this, we get complacent.
Yes.
If things aren't really bad for us, we won't change.
And sometimes we get comfortable. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, and that's why universe comes in and is like, guess what? We're going to shut the whole world down.
And sometimes you get comfortable in the feeling not good, because even though you want better, sometimes you just get you're comfortable because it's what you're used to.
You expect
And
it.
even though
Yeah.
and you want to change, but sometimes you're like, I don't know, because it's scary.
I mean, yeah, how many people stay in bad marriages because
Yeah.
they're afraid of the bad they know is security versus the possible good that's unknown. And so sometimes universe will come in, spirit will come in and be like, if you're not going to do this, we're going to force you to do it. We're going to rip the carpet out from under you. And so I really want people to have, I don't want people like, I don't want fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. That's all. Or, or it can be forget everything and run, but we're not do false evidence appearing real, because that's what my teacher will say in India. Like if you're having like an issue on your mat and you're sweaty and there's a posture that's you're really just it's messing with your head, he'll go, why fearing? Why
Mm.
fearing? And you sit back and you go, why am I, what is this triggering in me? And then that starts to unravel the fear, because fear is false evidence appearing real, and so I'm so glad we talked, because I really want people, like, don't push the fear, like, you guys, like, it's all, you are made to be here in this moment according to the law of one. What earth is going through right now, every single person on this planet right now is a high priority soul. Meaning, doesn't mean that there are souls that aren't high priority. It just means that your soul was capable of handling this.
And that's beautiful. And I think it's beautiful. Like, remember when I first heard you say that once in one of your videos, I thought, oh, it's so reassuring to hear that, because it just gives you, I think, validity and confirmation and reassurance that you're okay, keep going. Things are you just have to hang in there, just keep going.
Yeah.
And it's not about being fearful. I mean, no one has bolted out of a reading yet, ever. But sometimes people don't want to have a reading, especially a few times I've been in a group setting, and one of the clients there, or a lady, if someone will be present and they don't want when they're afraid. I'm like, that's fine. I'm not going to force you. You
Yeah.
do what you want to do. But nothing scary has ever come up in a tea leaf reading specifically. So just take it for what you will, leave what you don't. But it's not about ignoring anything that's bad. Like you said, if you're in a bad marriage, if you're in a bad situation, if you feel like that fear is like is like a divine guidance factor. If that fear, there's a difference. Like sometimes
Oh
if
yeah.
you feel fear, what is that fear? And that's something that for years I had to like figure out, like, okay, what is this fear that I'm feeling, that I'm picking up on? Is this fear mine? Is this someone else? Is this spirit?
Is this gut?
What,
Yeah.
like, God, like what is this fear that I'm feeling? And is this a guidance to not be in that situation? Or is that something that I need to, like, where is it coming from, and address it? So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because fear does have a place. Like if you're walking on a train tracks and you see a train barreling out you, you're going to be struck with fear. That fear is telling you, get out of the way. Right.
Absolutely.
So that's not, so if you are in a situation that is detrimental to you, where Sarah and I are not saying, oh, just stick with it because there's a plan. No, 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 no.
No,
We're talking about
no.
stuff that is out of your control, that might come up, that might be seen as something scary, but you have to understand. Listen, I want everybody listening to truly understand this. When the sperm hits the egg, there is a flash of light. That's you. That's intentional. God did not put you here by mistake. Your
No,
life is not a mistake.
no, no. And I know from my own experience, how many times have I felt throughout my whole life? And I was bullied horribly when I was little. I'm sure many of us were. But in my experience, how many times in my life have I been in a situation and I'll just sit there, or I'll scurry away from that situation, whatever I was in, and I'll just hang my head and say, like, I'm not even worthy of breathing the air that I'm breathing. I know that may sound extreme, but I've been there. I've had that experience. So what I'm doing, like, reading, is, don't ever think that I'm like sitting on high preaching from my little like soapbox. Sometimes I do that, but it's because I get you. I know what that can feel like.
That humanness, that's being very human. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of us went through a rough childhood, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different reasonings. But I think we had to learn,
We did.
and that's what Magdalene says in her gospel. You have to descend before you can ascend, because that's the compassion. And that's the difference between like us and psychopaths, is that for us, we can experience those dark nights of the soul, those times of wanting to hurt ourselves. Have to be careful what we say on YouTube.
Yeah.
and then come out of it. But then when we know someone else is there, we can have that empathy and that compassion, whereas a psychopath won't. And that's the
Yeah.
biggest difference. And that's where the love is, and that's where the vibration of light is. So if you are in a, and if you're going through a rough time right now, if someone's listening and they're going through a dark night of the soul, or they're feeling, I don't want you to have toxic positivity and just sit there think, oh, everything's going to be okay.
No.
Cry, journal,
100%.
book an appointment with Sarah to have a like. It's okay to feel those feelings. Don't think that's not okay, because
Yeah.
those are human, and those feelings do provide you with information. So, all right,
And
should we get going?
yes, and one more thing. Sometimes a reading is like not the best course of action. I'll say that too. I've over the years, some people have approached me for reading, and I say to them, I've said this before in a few other sessions I've had with clients. Sometimes a reading isn't what you need right now. Sometimes I'm not a medical professional. I don't pretend
Yeah,
to be. This is no substitute
yeah,
for any medical advice or by any means. So I myself had, long story, but I myself had spiritual psychotherapy sessions. I was on I received that. I had a few sessions, several sessions over 10 years ago. One of the best things I ever did. But I knew I needed help, and I knew a reading wasn't what I needed at that time. So I sought help otherwise. So don't ever think that these readings are a substitute for anything like that, because
no.
those other modalities, they do have their place.
And
In
I'm
my,
a
in my
huge,
opinion.
I know a lot of people in our community don't like therapists, but I had a really great experience with my trauma therapist.
I had
Um,
a great experience with my
I
therapist.
I loved therapy. I was sad when I was dismissed. I was
By the last session, I was like, oh, I'm sad. Like I was like, right, and like I felt like good after several sessions. Like, oh, I'm good, but I was like, oh, I liked it. It was so. After the first one, I'm like, I really enjoyed it. It
No,
was good.
I was like trying to think of another problem, so I wouldn't have to go, I would have to stop going through what. But therapy helps me so much because it gave me a therapist. I know there. Listen, guys, I know. Don't leave comments. I know there are bad therapists. I understand that, but when we see the world in black and white, we're missing the point. There are people. People don't become therapists to be. They become therapists to help people. And
Yeah.
my therapist in Atlanta was a genius. She was herself, she had a whole library full of Eastern philosophy books. So she was very familiar with my background in yoga, and she used a lot
Mm-hmm.
of that to really help me because that was my perspective of understanding, you
Exactly.
know. So she was amazing. She was amazing. And so I highly suggest therapy to people. Therapy, I mean, like I said, I know there's a senior yoga teacher for to me. She's actually Canadian as well. And she said that first. She goes, yoga's great, but have you tried talk therapy? Like it's like
It's true. I love my therapist. I actually know another psychotherapist. She doesn't do the spiritual psychotherapy, but she's another therapist. And I love her. I think she's amazing. I'm like past life or something there with her, but she's amazing. I think she's wonderful.
oh
But there
wonderful.
again, I know if she's there, if I ever need her, I can always message her and say, "Hi, are you free? Can I like, book a session?" But I know I have her in my back pocket. If I ever feel the need to go to her, I can. But yeah, there's good, there's bad. I think in everything.
Yeah.
But
My therapist the same way when she was like, don't ever hesitate to just call me if you need help in a little, she's like, if you have a little situation come up that you don't know what to do, just call me, we'll talk it through, because therapists don't tell you what to do, they nudge you along till you see the clarity. So yeah. All right, well, I'm actually going to put you on the full screen, Sarah, so everyone can see
okay,
you. I always feel like
okay,
when I have people, I'm always like staring. So I'm going to put you on the full screen, while
okay.
you do your thing, girl.
I'm just getting the water boiled in the background, so I'm just reboiling. I boil it first. But I'm like, oh, we've been talking for a little bit. I'm like, it's probably gotten lukewarm by now, so I'm just waiting for it to
That's okay. I'll pop
reheat.
back on why it boils. Yeah. So if you guys missed it, again, I'll put the other video down in the description box. But I had asked her in that video, like, how do you do this? Do you drink the tea? Like, but she actually swirls it, which I'm sure she's going to show you once the water boils. And we laughed because down here in the South, it's sweet tea.
Yeah,
It's iced tea. It's
it's
cold.
iced tea. It's cold tea. We drink cold tea up here in Canada too, but usually that's more of a summer thing.
Well, down here in the South, we don't really do winter. That's not really a thing down here. So
Kids go down. You don't get to play with your dog in the snow castles, the snowbanks.
my dog has seen snow once, and I told you the one time he saw snow, he was very upset. Thought we were just awful because I think he thinks we control the weather, and he refused to poop. So
Oh boy,
being
poor
from
poor Robbie.
He
Well,
refused.
he doesn't have to play in the snow if he doesn't want to. It's fine. He's living in the right place.
I know. As you guys are freezing, I sent Sarah a picture. We were driving back through Atlanta, and there's a guy without a shirt on standing on 10th Street. My boyfriend was like, "He must be from Canada."
Just enjoying the warmth. I can't complain. I love the winter. I love the nice and cool. I love the cold. I love it. I have asthma. I can't go out in it very long, but I do love it.
We had on like sweatshirts, and there's this dude standing there without a shirt on, and my boyfriend's like, "He must be from Canada."
Probably. Probably.
One of my good friends from Toronto, one of my besties, he would before the lockdown, he would come down a few times a year to visit in Atlanta, and he always wanted to come here. He never really wanted me to go there because I figured it out because he would come during the winter and he would have tank
He's
tops
just a
on.
snowbird. He's just a snowbird. Can't take the cold. He's hiding out in the warmth of the South. A lot of Canadians do that. They're called snowbirds.
Yeah, there's a lot in Florida. Yep. So,
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm just gonna get the water. 1 second. It's boiling now.
okay, you're good.
Okay. So let me just get this here. I am prepared. I have my charger and I have a little charger here. So if my phone battery goes down, at least I'm prepared. Okay. So I have kettle. So today we are using something different. We are using chai black tea. So it smells like spice cake. Smells really good.
Very
So,
Indian. The chai, black chai, very Indian. I love
yes,
actually like chai. Chai is yeah.
chai is good, but yeah, like I'm a coffee drinker. I am a total coffee drinker. So I always say God has a sense of humor because I do TV feeding, but I'm a coffee drinker. I don't like a lot of tea. I don't know. I don't know. I'm a coffee, but chai is good. I will drink some chai. I will drink some. Okay. So for timing, could you keep an eye on the time for me because I'm going to be like absorbed in the tea leaves. So how long did you want this reading to go for? Because I'm totally fine doing it for however long, but
Let's what do you think is good? So it's 3:12 right now. How long do you think would be good for a general reading for
we could do like a half an hour general reading, and then that way we're not rushed trying to do it for 15 minutes, and then that way we have a good solid half an hour.
perfect. So
Is
I
that
will
okay
keep
with you?
yeah, absolutely. I will keep an eye on the time and I'm gonna put you back on full screen here. So
Okay.
they
Maybe
don't have
when we get to the 50-minute mark, please let me know, and then that way I can sort of pace myself halfway through. Is that okay?
perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome. So I have the tea leaves here. Just checking the consistency. So in case what people are wondering about it, like this is what I did last time. I put the hot water in. I have the tea loose. I use it's bag tea. It's fine. I put it in and put hot water in. So I'm just checking the consistency now. Right now, there's way too much liquid in here. Well, a little bit too much liquid. So I'm just going to strain some of it out into a bowl. And it's just, again, to get the consistency right. Too much of liquid, too much tea, all the leaves stay in, all the leaves fall out. So that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, that's good. I'm just going to put a little bit more liquid in. Just checking here. Okay, that's good. So that's the consistency that I'm wanting, where it will clump on the base as I'm swirling it around, trying to like not split as I'm swirling it, but it clumps. That's what we want, because that means that some of the leaves will stay in the base, like they'll stay in the cup. Okay. Just double checking here. Just a little bit. I only put a little hot water in, so just to make sure that I have exactly the right consistency. I'm being a little bit precise right now. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just push the leaves back down in the sides of the cup, push them down from the swirling. Okay. Okay. Dear source creator, please and thank you for allowing this reading to be accurate for everyone involved. And please and thank you for letting it be the most and highest good for everyone involved. And this is a general reading for our friends of watching this video. Okay. So I'm going to swirl. Okay, thank you. Heard stop, so I stopped. I'm putting the plate on top. Flip it over. In case anyone wondering what I was just doing, I was just clearing out my hand chakras. In case anyone was just like, what did she do, wiping her hands off? Okay, and then I'm just going to turn it about 3 or 4 times. I know tradition states 3 times. Sometimes I do 4. Okay, just going to let it drip dry just for a few seconds. I'm just going to let the water absorb a little bit here. I do this so the water won't pool in the base and change any leaves that are in the base. I don't get all the water sometimes. If so, I'll just gently dab it, but this just sort of prevents that from happening. People may get a little bit bored watching me because all they're going to see is my like the top of my head and like the top of my forehead looking in the cup. So apologies for the boredom that anyone may experience watching me.
Well, I think it's fascinating because most of us are not. I would reckon that 99.9% of the people watching right now are not tea leaf readers. So this is very interesting to see how it's set up and done. So
again, it's like everyone has their own way of doing it. I remember I went online a few years ago and I was just researching generally to see any other readers. I never took a course. Like I said, I'm all God taught other than the book that I read. And it's all experience. It's all from God. And I'm just like literally doing what I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm always a little bit surprised when people are interested in tea leaf reading. Like, really? But it is unique. It is different. It's different. And you don't really see a lot of people doing it. That's the thing. Okay, so here we go. I haven't really looked at it, but these are the tea leaves. And I'm happy to take pictures if you want to post it with the video too, if you like. But these are the tea leaves. Okay. Okay, ready? Okay, so here we go. Starting up at the top, and thank you for keeping an eye on the time. That helps me so much.
No worries.
That way I can just like focus on this. Oh, okay. Busy. I get very dry, so apologies if I'm putting like lipstick on and stuff as we're talking and chugging water. It's a lot of talking. Okay, so let's start up at the top, which is the current situation. So again, it's now, on the way, and later. For anyone watching, again, this is how I read. I do read chronologically. Now, on the way, and later. 1. 10. I mean, so far I've counted about 14 different individual events or situations which are happening right now. So I would say that for everyone watching this, there's just a lot going on, which may sound stereotypical, but it's just very, very busy right now. However, that said, there is one main area where things are calm and clear and quiet, and or you want them to get moving a bit more. So I don't like to use the word stuck or stagnation, but if you feel like you just want things to get moving a little bit more, that could be the case. And or things are quiet and calm and clear and you're happy with the way that is present right now. But either way, that could be an either or, but that is in one significant area. But again, that said, there are multiple smaller events or situations which are taking place. And there are 2 smaller events or situations. It's almost like gold, silver, silver. One main event, 2 smaller ones that are not as significant, but they are more significant than all the other bronze ones, if that makes sense. Okay. Okay. So we do have one main event or situation, which is a layout that I often see anyway whenever I do tea leaf reading. Typically there is one main event or situation. So we do have that coming up. We also have a lot of other events or situations taking place. They're more short term though, and I say that I start teaching because if you look around here, you can see that all of these groupings here, they don't go down in the cup very far. They're only around this area. So they're not long lasting. So there's going to be other smaller events or situations taking place at the same time. And this is like imminently.
So this is for the month of February. So there's going to be one for us collectively or for someone watching. One main event is going to happen this month, but there's also little ones happening as well.
Exactly.
Okay. I just want to clarify that for the group, for everybody watching right now. This could be collectively, but this could be for somebody watching right now that God,
Absolutely. Exactly. This is again, take what you will, leave what you don't. This may be applying to you, yourself, myself, someone else, and or neither of us. parts of this may apply to different people. So this is just this is a general reading for the month of February. Yeah, so there are some events that are short place. There's also two other smaller events which are taking place soon that are connected to the main event, but I'll get to that when I start getting down in the cup a bit more. Generally speaking, there's going to be 1-2 areas, potentially a third smaller one, where we going forward for the month, as the month progresses, where we are going to be having enough time to focus, where we're going to be having enough time to focus on what we need to focus on, and we're not going to be distracted in too many other areas. So if that makes sense. But I would say that based on the layout that I'm seeing, when I say to my clients, if I was reading for someone individually, I would say just pace yourself. Just really use this time to be as productive as you can, not stressing yourself out by any means. However, if you feel the need to just get things done that you haven't gotten done yet, whether that's purging closets, fridges, paperwork, whatever the case is, because as we go forward, as the month sort of gets to the latter half of the month, according to from what I'm seeing here, it does get quite busy, gets busier. So again, take that for what you will. Okay, as for this main event or situation, let's get on with that right now. So it looks like parts of it are happening imminently. There's going to be some time generally before a few of the events or situations, like individual aspects of this one main event, start occurring. So the way that I describe this quickly is, think of this as a quilt, and every single grouping, every single tea leaf in here represents patches of the quilt. So what I'm looking at is individual scenarios taking place in this one main event or situation. So hopefully that makes sense to people. Okay. Now, right now, at the beginning of the month, there's going to be a few smaller areas, smaller events or situations taking place, and there's where it's really busy, some of that busyness that I mentioned, that leads directly to this main event. And it starts off with a tree. So we do have abundance and prosperity. It may not be fully formed when it arrives, or maybe it's just not what we think. It could definitely still be in the growing, forming phases rather, but there is abundance and prosperity. And there's also this is tea leaves are an and/or there's some kind of messages, news, and information on the way regarding that. And this is at the start of the month, right at the beginning. And that pretty much precedes everything that's in here. There may be a little bit of money associated with this. It may also have something to do with a house. Use my ring light just to get a bit more light here. Again, property. It may have some messages to do with pertaining to property potentially, and or some kind of messages, news, and information that's regarding two different aspects. But it's a good scenario. It's also forming a happy face. I see emojis, so it's a little face with its tongue sticking out. So it's almost like we're feeling kind of cheeky. We're good. Everything's good. It's a happy scenario. I go quiet sometimes. Sorry. Person, place, or thing with a letter W involved, potentially. I say potentially in case it makes sense. So the person, place, or the thing with a letter W. There's someone potentially who is an air sign involved. I'm saying that because there's a figure of someone with a sword beside them. So swords being air. So there may be someone who's an air sign potentially, and or someone who is highly intellectual. So that's where it could go either way. This is what I mean. Okay. This is regarding a few different things, but again, it's a good scenario. They're happy. They may have a prominent nose, and this has something to do with a new beginning of some kind, a new opportunity that is taking form. It may not be a hugely massive new opportunity, but it is present. Okay. We also have a version of the number 7 in here. So like esoteric knowledge, higher learning. I'm not a numerologist. I don't claim to be, but something to do with esoteric knowledge. And this may also pertain to messages, news, and information on the way. involving writing of some kind. With this whole with this whole W scenario, there also may be a person, place, or thing with the letter E that's involved. But again, there's some conversations and discussions taking place regarding this. Potentially potentially a partnership as well. If so, it's still forming. Taking a leap of faith in this whole scenario, I'm trying to read chronologically here. So at the same time as all of this is happening, there's also a feeling of potentially going for what you want to have, a leap of faith. And if so, that does look positive. We have a small tree there, so abundance and prosperity. This may be involving a family member potentially, and if so, it's a smaller, younger, or shorter family member. Reassurance regarding this. And there's like a loving, nurturing feeling with this. But yeah, going for what you want to have, leap of faith. There may be a version, sorry, one second. Which way is that going? Okay, it's not completely clear. I won't say that then. Yeah, happy face. There's a happy face. So happiness.
And Sarah, we're at the 15-minute mark.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. I'll speed up because we're right up at the very top. Keep going. Overall, as this whole situation concludes or progresses, we're going to be knowing where we stand with a lot of things. Things are going to be generally like we know where we stand, but we do have some surprises on the way. Overall, I won't say it again, just sake of being repetitive, lots of conversations, thoughts, words, ideas, and discussions taking place. Again, we have a version of the letter W. Helpful people. Something to do with the letter L, so person, place, or thing, likely a person with a letter L, and that involves close communication between two individuals. I won't say it again. I'm seeing happy faces throughout here, so things are going well. This whole month involves happiness. Independent thought is related to that happiness as well. And I'm also, I keep seeing reassurance. Axis for me just mean reassurance. That's just what it just means. Doesn't mean Vikings. There's reassurance throughout here, and this is only in this section. So if we're sort of feeling like a little bit angst or something, this is just saying reassurance is present. Like hang in there. It's going to be okay. Just hang in there. Reassurance is present. And this is regarding different events or scenarios as part of this overall event. A successful venture, undertaking a new creative project that does look like it is going very well. That involves a helpful individual and some kind of surprise with the letter E, possibly C, but E. This whole event does have a side event, which is really all about creativity. It's all about creative projects, new creative endeavors that we're doing. Creativity. And there's a lot of thoughts and words regarding that. A lot of thoughts and words regarding that. A lot of conversations and discussions. Standing your ground. There also may be a Leo connection involved at later this month as well. Someone maybe who is a Leo, and potentially Gemini as well. The letter M is present, and that helps to create a new opportunity of some kind. And there's love around that situation. Like it's a good situation. Oh, and we have a little dragon. Okay, so definitely protection. To me, dragons are like a knight in shining armor times 100. So there's a lot of protection. This is a reminder that there was protection involved in this situation. Certainly near like the latter half, the middle to the latter half of the month. Gosh, I keep seeing the letter M. I won't say it again. I keep seeing it. A beautiful partnership that is forming near to the end of the month. There's reminders in here for protection, that we are protected. And again, that's towards the latter half of the month as well. Going for what we want to have. Uninhibited, that's the word. Going for what we want to have. going forward. And that involves someone else who is a younger individual, sorry. Okay. Some of us may be partaking on a trip of some kind. This is likely either one trip with two parts to it, or there's two separate trips that we're going on. One is more significant than the other. Again, the letter M. But also partnerships as well. Unconditional love, support, loyalty, and commitment, protection, nurturing, loving, really having a lot of like childlike emotions or behavior with this, like being happy, innocent, loving, protection, companionship, commitment, loyalty. Okay, I've seen two lions now. So there's some Leo connection that's present. I saw it in the main event, and then on this like larger trip, we have an overall picture face here of a lion. So there's definitely some kind of either Leo quality, where this is not this is for the month, so this is not representing August in terms of timing, late July to late August, but this is more like the qualities and characteristics of Leo. Like pride, going for what you want to have, being strong. Partnerships. I keep seeing little Teddy. Oh, sorry, that's our Brie. That's Brie. Sorry, I spoke too loudly. No, Brie, come talk to your friend. No. Come say hi to Brie's friend. Come on. I'm sorry. Sorry, I spoke too loudly. She got excited. But there's little Brindle Adamson. Come here right now. Shh. Here, play with this. Here. Sorry, but I keep seeing sorry about that, everyone. I keep seeing teddy bears in here. So I've been seeing that more lately too, in other readings I've been doing. So it's like childlike innocence and love and nurturing and compassion and gentleness, comfort. Bree agrees. Towards the latter half of this month, there's partnerships again. Now, partnership, define what partnership is. It could be a new chiropractor. Could be a new friend, it could be anything, but there's new partnerships forming, and this involves some kind of abundance and prosperity. And again, this is towards the latter part of the month. There's a lot of, I keep seeing dogs. For me, that means like unconditional love, support, loyalty, commitment, protection, companionship. I keep seeing indications of that throughout this entire reading. So those qualities are absolutely present from what I'm seeing throughout this month. And then we're in the base. So to me, this is like the end of the month heading into the following month. Very similar in terms of how busy we're going to be. We're going to be able to pace ourselves, but it's going to be, I would say, quite busy. Some surprises, absolutely. But we're going to really know where we stand with things as well. Person, place, or thing with the letters H and or I. Okay, what did I say about a keyhole? There's a keyhole. I have to take a picture and I'll outline it and I'll send it to you. So what we just said, now there's also the continent of Africa and or the States. So depending on how you look at that, but there's some kind of you going for what you want to have. You have all the materials you need to make that decision and go for it. And you just what we just said before. You have the key, you just have to turn the lock. That's all you have to do. We have all the materials you need in order to get that thing that we want. And all you have to do is just do it. If you feel so inclined, of course. I'm not telling you what to do. But it's all positive. It's all good. There's a lot of love around that scenario. Person, place, or thing with a V, letter B, and or L. Swiftness, things going quickly. There's just a lot of love and compassion and community, a lot of protection. I keep seeing indications of that throughout this entire reading. Just knowing that we are not alone. There's a lot of love and compassion and nurturing and caring that I keep seeing references to that throughout this entire reading. Yeah. Some of us may be thinking of moving. If so, it does look like it's a definitive possibility. Like you may be moving some of us in March, and there is protection involved in the scenario. And stability, that moving does involve stability. Going for what we want to have. Letter M. Yet again. And just to wrap it up. Some conversations, but really knowing where we stand. Well, people around us who are being helpful. And we also have abundance and prosperity as well. And the abundance and prosperity does absolutely involve some kind of new opportunity of some kind of new opportunity. But we have a lot of nurturing throughout this entire reading. I just keep seeing different images referencing loving and nurturing. Teddy bears are everywhere. I keep seeing it. It's everywhere. The whole month ahead looks like there's just a lot of reassurance that is present, a lot of nurturing. Now, what that is, whether it's self-nurturing or nurturing from other people, I can't say obviously, or where that nurturing is coming from, but it is present, which is sometimes just like a nice thing to know that, yeah, it's a nice reminder that there is reassurance present. And let's see, anything else here, just to wrap it up. Messages, news, and information, possibly again about the home and or family. So some kind of family, house and or home connection. But it is loving too. It is loving. There's good news coming to us, and it is loving. And this is again the end of the month, heading into March. And yeah, just creativity, new creative projects, and partnerships that are forming. And again, protection and happiness. How is that?
That sounds awesome. I'm sitting here thinking, I can't wait to see what our friends watching right now, if that triggered anything for you guys, like what messages you picked up from that. But it sounds like collectively we have a really good month coming. I mean, Valentine's Day, February is all about love.
That's right. That's right.
You know? So we are transitional for us. I mean, we really don't have a winter, but this is a month where we transfer into spring. So we just get super hot here. So it just sounds like everything's going right on. I love the fact that family stuff comes up with the support of family. And it was interesting. Somebody said, Sarah, from our last video, I didn't even think about this. The amount of M's that came up in the last video for me, a lot of M's came up in this one. Magdalene.
Oh, yes. I did see that comment. And I went, oh, that makes so much sense.
And I think Magdalene, I mean, she's been one of my guides for my whole life, but I'm sure she's guiding so many other people too. And when you said the lions, I saw the Lyrans, the Christ consciousness. Yeah. So yeah, that's amazing. That's so good. And you guys, so again, that was a general reading for whoever's listening, but I'm going to go ahead once again. I'm going to show you guys Sarah's YouTube channel and her website. So if there was something in that reading where you're like, that's me, and you want more clarity, I know Sarah's going to do it next week, hopefully. Sometimes she's going to do a full reading on me privately because of stuff she pulled up in my reading. And I'm like, let's investigate this further. So find her. I will put all these links down in the description box below, and she can do a one-on-one with you privately, not recorded, and so she can get more specific for you and for what you need and what you want, what universe has to tell you. That was amazing, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you. It's not me. You're welcome. It's not me. I'm just a messenger. That's all.
You have the ability to read it because I'm just seeing tea leaves. So
well, I'll take some pictures. I'll send them to you. I will outline a few things just so that you can see them too. But I am actually in the process of editing the new general biweekly tea leaf reading that for my own channel. I have another 6 minutes left to edit through. I have to edit through it one more time and then I'll upload it. So I'm running a few days behind, but it should be up hopefully by tomorrow.
Editing's hard. That's the thing. Like, YouTube is a full-time job, guys. Like, I'm a one-woman show. Like, I know Sarah is as well. Like,
it's just us. We're just doing our best here to do our best, essentially.
Yeah,
we're real people. We're doing our best.
I do my own editing. The editing is what takes forever. The editing is the bitch. Like, that's what's
the editing is the hardest part.
It's so hard. And I don't think people realize, like, it takes me, so if I do an hour deep dive, it takes me, so 10 minutes of footage is about 1 hour's worth of editing. So an hour deep dive is like 6 hours worth of editing. It is tedious. I'm like, this is why editors get paid a lot of money in Hollywood, because this is tedious.
It's tedious. Like usually when I do a recording, and I think I said this somewhere in my channel update from a while ago. It's somewhere I said it, I think on my channel, to do a bi-weekly TV video. I was doing them weekly, but I just could not keep up. So to do a bi-weekly, I'm like, okay, at least it's more sustainable. But what I do is I have my little system. I rig it up here, and I record it with the thing facing down, camera facing down. It's all just my cell phone. That's all I use really to record. And I record it in clips. So I usually have anywhere from like 45 to 50 odd minutes of recording time. And then I have to load that into my editor, and then I have to splice it out. I use my phone editor. I have to splice out everything. And then I'm hunched over usually. Now this time I sat down, but doing it for the new video, but usually I'm hunched over talking into the phone. And then I get like winded because I'm talking. I get out of breath. So every time like I'm right beside the microphone. So you hear every time I go, so I'm going to cut that out. Because I'm listening to it, I'm like, that sounds really, really annoying. So it just takes a long time to splice it out. So the recording of it may take like 2 to 3 hours for me to record it. Yeah. Then I have to edit it, and then I have to export it and then upload it.
Yeah, that's the thing too.
Yeah, hours.
I record us with people. I record on Zoom. Sometimes I record with just myself on Zoom too, because it's easy. But yeah, you have to export it. You have to put it into your editor. And then I have to export it from the editor after editing it, and then load it into YouTube. And depending on how YouTube's feeling that day, sometimes it takes no time at all. Sometimes it takes hours for something to upload, depending on what's going on with YouTube. So yes, and I know our subscribers are so awesome, and they are so supportive of where we were laughing beforehand. Like I don't know if people believe me. I'm literally in my bedroom. Like there's no set. It's my bedroom.
I'm in my living room. My mom and I live together. We're in a condo, and we have it's like one main open floor plan thing. And I'm literally in the corner. There's more daylight coming in because it's daylight and it's coming in through the window, but I'm just in the corner of my living room. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, literally my bed's right there. Like I'm facing my bed. So anyway, guys, well, thank you so much, Sarah. That was awesome. Maybe in a couple weeks we can check back in and see what's going on for people. Please make sure you go and subscribe to Sarah's channel. Visit her website. She's in the Signal group as well for people doing the shadow work challenge.
I'm going to be posting more in there soon. I'm so delinquent.
No, you're fine. Listen, I am so grateful we have a few moderators in there that are not content providers. They're just subscribers. I'm so grateful to those people. They know who they are. I'm so grateful because it is so much, and I'm so excited. Like a Signal group, everybody in there is so amazing, and they just have these conversations, and I'm just like, this is so fantastic. Like, so I know I'm not in there that much either. It's because I'm usually editing, but so it's amazing. We have guys in there now. We had guys before, they were very quiet. Now we've got a few men in there doing it. And that's just amazing that the men are in there doing it as well. So yes, if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about the 60-day shadow work challenge that we are hosting. My channel and a few other channels are hosting. If you want to be a part of it, it's never too late to start. Just email me at shadowworkchallenge@gmail.com, and I will happily send you the template. So, all right, you guys. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. I'm just enjoying this so much, and I can't wait to have you back on. Once again, guys, go support it. Go support our sister out. Go subscribe to her channel.
Thank you.
I mean, she's awesome. You. So.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm right back at you and everyone else watching. Everyone has been so kind, and I genuinely appreciate it. It just means so much, and just thank you so much. And I really hope that this tea leaf reading was of some help today to some people.
It was awesome. Bye, guys.
Bye.